So then to move from tomorrow up to the last day, I think I'll be recording so that you will be seeing the demonstrations of the practical lectures that we'll be doing, so that you can go and practice at home for the exam. All right, so right, so let's continue. So we need to move fast so that people can, if we finish early, people can go and do other things. Right, so improving comprehension, communication, and design making. So we've talked about Gestalt and Tufte's principles, and we've seen how they talks about Tufte talks about simplification in terms of coloring, information, putting information on your designs or on your visualizations. And Gestalt talks about simplification as well, and how we need to group our objects. We need, because when people are looking at your visualizations, the way the human eye perceives things is what Gestalt was trying to address. If I see things grouped together, I tend to assume they are similar. Or if I see things are far apart, I tend to think maybe this is for this is for the other thing. But so you should take that in mind or in consideration when doing your visualizations. Put things that are similar together and so forth, and don't put too much information. Simplify your visualization, make them as simple as possible so that people can see what you are trying to tell them with the data. Now, so here now this is talking about improving comprehension, communication, and design making. So we need to improve our data visualizations. Right, so here are a few examples. Like we would normally want to remove anything that does not support the story. The story design for comprehension. Now, comprehension is how people see things. How to comprehend. Okay, so we need to remove anything that does not support the story. For example, the first design is incorrect because with these two stars, they do not support what I want the people to see. So it's not necessary. And the use of colors here on customer, red, orange, red, gold, red, gold, red, gold is not necessary. The choice of font type, it may not also be necessary, right? But rather, if you look at this correct visualization, social customer service, like I said, this is not a design. This is not a design course, like a design like graphics design, like art design. Right? We want people to visualize the data, not your fancy design, putting stars and using different colors and using fancy font. Now that may not be necessary. Right. So this is an example of an incorrect visualization for comprehension, and this is an example of a good visualization. So you need to bear that in mind when doing your visualizations. I won't ask you I won't ask you and say make your visualization comprehensive, but you should just know. So also the issue of comparison is very important. When comparing things, you should know where to place your designs, and you should choose the best design, the best visualization type to use. Like for example here, using donut charts may not be the appropriate way to visualize this kind of data, rather than bar charts. Okay, using bar charts will make the user or the viewer compare easily. Okay, like even with a pie chart, if I do a pie chart and the other chunk is maybe 49% and the other chunk is maybe like this, it will be difficult to compare which one is bigger. You may use a pie chart maybe if you label, then we will bring Tufte's principle into play, labeling. So if 50 and 49 in terms of size from a pie chart, it may be difficult to compare, but if you do label, it will be easy. So you need to put all these principles into use. Now, and the other thing is you need to tell the whole story. Don't tell the story in bits and pieces. Don't tell the story in bits and pieces. Right. Don't use distracting fonts or elements. Right. For example, this text is distracting. Why is it there? And the color is also distracting. Like I said, choice of color is also very important. Then this statement is also distracting. If a fruitastic sales season, strawberry seasons never looked better, is it necessary for someone who wants to see trends in maybe sales? They just want to see trends. The CEO just wants to see trends. They just want to see profitability, how they are making, whether they are making profit or not. They are not worried about these fancy words. So don't use distracting fonts or elements at all. Okay? Right, so this is incorrect and this is correct. Then we look at color. We've talked about color before. Use single color to represent the same type of data. And you need also to watch for positive and negative numbers. And contrast, color contrast is also very important. And choice of color is also appropriate. If it's just data presentation, the choice of color should be the choice of color should be chosen carefully. But if it's for emphasis, and like I said earlier on, if you use red, people tend it draws attention if it's for emphasis. But if it's for data presentation, red scares the people. Okay. Then like this, so single color is correct, different colors is incorrect. Use of different colors because the data is the same. Okay, Right. Then we've talked about labeling. Make sure everything is labeled. Make sure labels are visible. And you can label the lines directly. Don't over-label. Don't over-label. Don't set your type at an angle. Twisting or shifting, rotating your text. Right, like this is over-labeling. Coca-Cola, then the picture of a Coca-Cola bottle. Why? What is it for? If you write Coca-Cola, it's enough. Okay, because remember, you're presenting this maybe to the CEO of the organization. Do you want them to see the bottle of Coca-Cola, or they know it's Coca-Cola if you just write it? So that's over-labeling. Then Red Bull, then this one, there's over-labeling, and you are using different colors, or since it's not the same data, it may not be a problem. But the issue is of over-labeling, and if you look at this, we are not over-labeling. It's just Coca-Cola is enough, and then the figures. And here fans. Oh, this is not necessary as well. Why add this? Okay, this may not be necessary. Then, since I've written the total here to be 61 million, then it won't be necessary maybe to put the y, to label the y-axis, say 0 to 80 million. It may not be necessary, right? But if I don't put the figures here, I will then maybe label my x-axis so that people may see the total amount, right? So ordering is also very important. Order data intuitively. Intuitively. I don't know if I've pronounced that well. Order consistently, order evenly. Right. For example, you need to order evenly, like say 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. That's even ordering. You don't have to say 0, 4, 8, 15, 19, 32. The ordering is not even. Okay, you crack people's heads if you label like this. So you need to label evenly. 5, 10, 15, 20, 10, 20, 30, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 200, 300. That's okay. Okay. Or this is incorrect. Now, ordering, I've said you order in ascending or descending order, or consistently. Like this, that's 30, we go down to 15, we go up to 45, we go down to it's like a zigzag. But if you order in descending order like this, or ascending order, then it becomes okay. Then numbering, that's 5, 15, 30, 50. You want to crack people's heads. You know, naturally, people it's easy for the human mind to count naturally. There are natural numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or there are numbers that are easy to count: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300, 400. Not like this: a 5, 15, 30, 50. Okay, so you should not do that. Now, so that is the end of comprehension in data visualization. So let's look at the next slide. The next slide talks about principles governing visual representation of data in analytics for graphics design. It talks about what we've been talking about, but just adding more to it. So basically, data visualization tools and technologies are essential to analyze massive amounts of information and make data-driven decisions. We've been talking about this over and over again. And so graphics design is the process and art of combining text and graphics to communicate an effective message. In the design of websites, logos, graphics, brochures, newsletters, posters, signs, etc. So we need to make use of some elements and use them appropriately. Things like alignment, repetition, proximity, contrast, use of space, elements like with lines, shapes, texture, value, size, color. They are very important in graphics design. Not graphics design in the now we're going to look at it in a slightly different way, not in the sense of art and design where we are being fancy about colors, fancy about the shades and etc. So here we talk of elements like lines. They are the most common design elements. We're going to be using them in your designs. When you're drawing your bar graphs, your line graphs, what kind of lines would you use? Like lines can be straight, curved, thick, thin, solid, or not. So they are used to connect 2 points, separate sections of a design, or focus the user's eye on an element. So the way you design your line will enable the user to focus their eyes on that element or not. For example, a jagged line conveys emotion, while a line that ends with an arrow forces the viewer to look at the specific direction. If you draw an arrow like this, the viewer wants to see where the arrow is pointing. If you just draw a line like this, they may not know where to look at. So if you want the user to look at if you are having audio I'm reading your charts. If you are having audio challenges, maybe you can try to refresh. Just constantly refresh your pages. I'm sure that will help. So a line that meanders among several elements guides the viewers from one element to the next and to the next, etc., etc. Then we have shapes. With squares, circles, triangles. They are used as boxes or borders on a design, or as solid shapes for decorative purposes. So you need to you'll be using this in your design. And texture, a background in a web visual texture is created with certain graphics techniques to draw attention to an element on a page or to serve as a background in the web design. So in this case, we may want to use it to draw attention, right? Because we are not worried about the design as per neatness of the design, but we want the users to see the data behind what we've designed. So you can use texture to draw attention. And color, we've talked about the use of color. Color attracts attention as well as represent emotion and mood. Attention, emotion, and mood. For color to be used well, secondary information or data points should be simplified to a shade of gray so that chosen elements can appropriately stand out. When selected emphasis colors are applied. Okay, so there are some colors that are used for emphasis, and that are used for emphasis and for drawing attention and mood, etc. Right. Then value, like value also is used for emphasis. The bigger or the darker the part, the more important it may be. The lighter, the less important it might be. So a dark background draws the viewer's eye. And we can talk here of dark or light of our designs, and value of those shades. They create contrast and emphasis. If someone sees a light line and a dark line, that they will quickly think that there may be a difference between the two. Then the size of an element in a graphic design is an indication of its importance as well. So the larger the size, the more important it is. The smaller the size, less important. Then other principles of graphic design are the issue of balance and alignment. Align your things. Don't just crowd your designs in one corner and leave the rest of the space without anything, and that's alignment. Or don't make use of the space that you are given for your designs. If you want to do whatever you want to present, whatever form you're going to present your data in, make sure that you use you align your things properly. All right. Then we have repetition and proximity. Proximity is mentioned by Gestalt. He talks of proximity. We've talked about it. Then repetition. Repetition duplicates the characteristics of a similar element to contribute to design consistency. Right. So, like, this comes when maybe you are designing your Ara Shiny application for data analytics, right? You may want to use you may want to be consistent in color, in design, or maybe of the background, etc., so that people may know that they are still in the same page. of your website or the same website. So we can also use it to create rhythm in a design, repetition, and many other applications that we can use it for. Then with contrast and space, we've talked about contrast. It can come in terms of color contrast, texture contrast, contrasting in graphics elements and type of and graphic types. Then space is the part of design that is left blank. Negative space is empty space that is intentionally placed in the design. Now, so when you are dealing with space, you don't like I said, don't overcrowd your things, and at the same time, don't leave too much space. Okay, you need to balance the two. Okay, so that is principles of graphics design. Principles of graphics design. Then we have this concept called I did not. Okay, this PDF is not working. Let's look at technologies for this one. Let's look at technologies for data visualization and analytics. Right, so the concept of using pictures to understand data has been around for centuries. Now, so this is kind of repeating what we've been talking about and the history of data visualization and etc. etc. So, so to work with large data sets or large data and trying to make them or to come up with visual graphics for easy understanding of complex factors, we need tools and we need techniques so that we can effectively convey the message. So the data is increasing every day, volumes of data that needs to be analyzed. So we need tools that can help us clean, analyze big data with tools like Python, Ara Programming, etc. Right. So data set, content, and context. Now, the type of data that you are going to get for analysis will determine the tool to use, the best tool to use. And but basically, data handling tools, data analytics tools, normally they have that capability of handling large amounts of data, and we as data analysts, we need to be able to come up with our own tools for data and for analyzing data, like the Ara Shiny application that we are going to design. You're going to see that Ara Shiny will bring data analytics, will make it easy for maybe someone who's a non-technical person. Now, since we've maybe let me say this: since you chose this course, it means you must friends with technology and technological tools. Now, there is no way you are going to analyze data manually. Okay, don't say I did not do programming, so I will not focus on programming, or I will ignore programming. I will just need to pass programming in 1-1, then I'm good to go. No, you can't do that. For you to be a real data analyst, you need to know this. You may not be the best programmer or the best person for a specific aspect in data analytics, but you need to know almost everything. Okay, suppose you go back to your organization and you have programmers designing maybe a tool for analytics, and you don't know, you do not know how to maybe look at a few lines of code to see whether the analytics will be okay or not, or you are dealing with a model for analytics and you have no idea of what they are doing. No, you can't do that. You can't be a data analyst if you shun that. Okay, so like I said, data set context. So you need to be able to collect data, create your own data. But that is very important. In Africa, basically, we do not have that culture. I don't know why. Maybe we are starting to do it maybe now, but we don't have the culture of collecting data about ourselves. Okay, you want to know what how many cars since 2000 and if I ask maybe a simple question, how many cars were imported from Japan, South Africa, from a specific period? If I ask that kind of data, what models and everything, if I ask Zimra, they may not be having that data, or they may be having it in guava sheets, guava papers, or they may be having it but not stored correctly. Okay, we don't have that culture collecting data. Recently, I think we are all seeing Econet is starting to collect data about COVID-19 cases, 2 deaths, but well, it's the efforts of Econet, but you may find that there may not be 2 deaths per day, but more than that, simply because people who are residing to where people are dying or simply can't, they don't have the means, or they just don't want to collect that information and store it for future use. So you see, dataset context is very important, right? So as a data analyst, you need to bear that in mind. Right. When you are doing your assignment, you discover what I'm telling you, that it may be difficult for you to find a data set that will help you do the assignment. Why? Because we simply don't have data collected. But if you go online, you will find data sets, vast of data sets from first world countries, developed countries. They collect data, and they even have data about ourselves, which we don't have. Okay, so I was doing with my undergraduate students a research on TB analytics visualization tool, and they could not get data. The format for storing data for TB patients at a hospital. They didn't know about it. Because they don't have the data. They may have it, but not in the way that is useful for us to gain insights, to help workers make decisions on how to deal with such issues. So you find this issue is very important. So we also talk about audience, cost and marketing availability. Then the tools, here we just want to talk about the tools. We have Tableau. It is a very good tool to use for data visualization, accommodates multi-dimensional data sets and big data from databases such as Hadoop, MySQL, Oracle, and AWS. Right. So you go online, check this one out. If you want to use it for your projects, you can go, or not this being your assignment, but your future projects. You can go and take a look at this one. It has also got some disadvantages. You can go and read, and one of it is costly. Excel is also a powerful tool that you can use for data visualization, and it has got its advantages and its disadvantages. Then we have Ara Programming, which is the tool I chose for us to use in this course. It is free and can be publicly downloaded, or you can use an online version. So it is the most comprehensive. It's statistical analysis package, and it is an open source software, and it is good for error detection, correction. It's easy, faster, and can handle large data sets, and can work with different data types from Excel, CSV, and many other types of data sets. Right, so we're going to be using the Ara programming, and we also have, it has also its disadvantages, of course. And Fusion charts, go and look at this with chat blocks and many other tools that you can look at. So that is the tools. I'm sure let me look at another. There's another slide which I talked about the tools. Right. I think I had too many slides on this. Let me see if there's something that I left out in this one. Right. Or tools for simplifying data. Right. Okay. Well, these are some. These are other tools. Google Charts. You can go and take a look at these. Modest Maps, Visual Tableau. I've talked about it. Excel, iCharts. Then okay, Ara Studio is an IDE which we're going to use. We'll talk about it later. Then with Python. Python is also one of the contemporary tool that is being used for data visualization and data analytics. Right. Then we have many eyes, we have Gapminder, we have iCharts. You can go and look at these tools. Yes, some explanations of these tools. And so Ara, what is Ara? This is the tool that we're going to look at, to be using. So you read about this. So it was developed in 1995 by Ross Ihaka and Robert Gentleman. it is a programming language. But that's why I said earlier on you should have started with programming, so that you get a few programming concepts before we look at visualization. Because I'm not going to teach you programming, we're going to do visualization. Okay, so but some of the concepts will be explaining, of course, but maybe someone with understand, some are coming, they have a business background, and some have never done. It's easy for people who did mathematics and maybe a bit of programming, because here we're not learning programming as such, but visualization. But there are programming concepts and techniques that we're going to be using that needs someone who has that programming mind or mathematical mind to see what we'll be talking about. So that's Ara, but Ara is good for data cleaning, data reduction, web crawling, data visualization, statistical hypothesis testing, statistical modeling, data analysis report, data wrangling, integration with web application. So we can create, we have open CPU or HTTP API for Ara that we can use. That's a framework that can provide us with a reliable and interoperable HTTP API for Ara data analysis. So you can either call the public servers or download and install OpenCPU code on your own servers. If you want to come up with tools for analytics, right? So remember your job. If you are not the CEO, then you should provide a tool for the CEO to visualize data so that they can make decisions. Okay, so you, and for you to do that, I've talked about integration with existing web applications or creating web applications like the Ara Shiny application, which I've asked you to develop. Then you can enable data analysis, make data analysis easier for people who are not data analysts. Right, remember, CEO will be in Hawaii, enjoying the profits and everything. They don't want to hear anything about Ara programming. They don't want to hear anything about data processing, data pre-processing. They just want to see the graph showing the increase in sales. That is what they just want to see. Okay, but you are the person who should make them see that. Okay, so that is why we're going to use Ara. So we're going to look at Ara programming. Before we do that, let me look at a few slides. I think, okay, it's well with this one. I think it's just 2 slides or so. Right, complex data. This is just complex data refers to data that may be incomplete, inaccurate, or unstructured. Just that. So what makes data complex? Data that is big. The amount of data you collect can affect type of software or hardware you need to analyze it with. And we have stored data that have many rows. And we have wide data that is many columns. And we also have data that is unstructured. If we have such kind of data sets, that if we get such data sets from users, we can, that is what we are terming That is what we are terming complex data. Okay, right. So I think that's just about this slide. Let me see if I have another slide. Okay, we've also this slide that talks of multivariate analysis. We are not going to look into this in detail. Okay, it's loading. Right, so multivariate analysis is when we are now dealing with more than one or more than two variables that needs to be analyzed at once. Okay, so there are some techniques that are used. Techniques like standardizing the variables first, and then performing some methods for analysis like multiple regression, discriminant analysis, logistic regression. So you do some, I think most of this in statistics. Okay, survival analysis, principal component analysis, factor analysis, cluster analysis, and the maneuver. Right. So that is basically the multivariate data analysis. Okay. So, let me. Okay. And then lastly, we have heterogeneous data. Let's look at this before we go to our practical, the beginning of our practical session, which will prepare us for tomorrow's lessons and onwards. Data visualization strategy for heterogeneous systems. We also have heterogeneous systems, which is a distributed system that contains many different kinds of hardware and software, working together in cooperative fashion to solve problems. That is a heterogeneous system. So we'll be having many different representations of that. This might include different representation for integers, byte streams, floating points, and character sets. Right? These are heterogeneous systems, and so to visualize the heterogeneous systems, the strategy is to the collection and storage of data itself. You need to know how to collect and store the data before analyzing it. You need to pre-process, design to transform the data into something that you can understand yourself. Okay, and you need to be able to aggregate or correlate the data from such systems. And visualization for the human perceptual and cognitive system. So these are the strategies that you need for heterogeneous systems. Collect the data, store it in a way that you know or you understand, aggregate the data and correlate it before analysis. Okay, so that is heterogeneous systems. And then these techniques we've talked about, all them are just the data visualization techniques. And for heterogeneous data. Now, before you do your visualization, you need to be aware of your target audience, the context, the content, the dynamics, and the purpose of your visualization. So these were just examples. Now, so I think with this, these theories that we have talked about, many theories, issues, factors, to do with data visualization. Now we are going to introduce, I'm going to introduce to you the Ara Programming Language. Now we are going to start by installing it. Okay, we are going to start by installing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to to share my screen, and then we can see how we can install. Right, so I shared with you a link. To install. Okay, let me share. Let me share my screen. Select Windows, screen, share the screen. Allow. Right, so I'm now sharing my screen. Right, so we're going to start by installing the Ara language. So we need to install the Ara programming language first. Okay, so I've said we need to go to Crane. If you open the link that I gave you, you will see a link that will lead you to this address, https the first link named Ara language. So you go to crane.arastudio.com. Right. So the first link will take you to this page. The first link will take you to this page, and on this page you can then go to download Ara. Here it says download Ara for Linux if you're using Linux, if you're using Mac OS, or if you're using Windows. So you can go and download and click to download Ara. Then if you haven't installed it on your machine, you can go and click install Ara for the first time. Install Ara for the first time. Then you can then download Ara. So the version is now 4.0.4 for Windows, and it works on both 32 and 64-bit. I'm using Windows, so I'll choose. I've my option was for Windows, like download Ara for Windows. So I'm going to download Ara for Windows, then go to install Ara for the first time. Then I download the Ara. Then I click on save. Right, so after downloading it, I'll then install. So we are going to install the Ara Programming Language. Right, so I'm now installing. Click OK. I've already installed it, but I'll just demonstrating. Then if you come here, I'm using a 32-bit operating system. So I'll choose 32-bit and click next. Then click next. Then okay, let me or someone was asking me to share the link. Let me Marty? The network. Amuzi. You say Vegas. All right. So that's the link. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, I was installing. Then please specify yes or no. Then click. Do you want to customize this start option? Just say no. Accept defaults. Next. Then select a menu. Just click next. And you can tick this if you want. Create a quick launch, or if you don't want, create a desktop. Then you click on next to install. All right, so it's now installing. I'm going to stop sharing a bit so that I can do something here. Right, so right. Now we need to install the Ara Studio IDE. So the IDE for Ara, we now go to Ara Studio. It's arastudio.com/products/Ara Studio/download. Let me see if this will. Right, so let me copy and paste the link. Right, so that's the link for downloading the Ara Studio IDE. Right, so that's the web page. So you go to you scroll down. So we have a free version, and with commercial versions that are sold. That's $995 a year, and we also have Ara Studio Server. If you want to host your Ara applications, you can purchase this for almost 5,000 US per year for 5 users. Okay, so you can see the functionalities of this. What you can do with it. So for commercial purposes, if you want to go commercial with your data analytics, maybe doing projects for people, you may consider hosting an analytics tool for your users, and this is a license that you can use. You can host 5 users. Okay, right. So I'm going to download the free one. Okay, so you download the free version. This is for a 64-bit operating system. But if you want an older version, if you are not using 64-bit like myself, I'm resistant to change to new technology. I'm still using Windows 7 32-bit operating system, so I will just continue using this one. Well, I do it for a reason. Not that I don't want to move to better versions. So you can scroll down to maybe older versions. You can find it down there. You can then download older versions if you're using older versions of the older version of Windows. Right. So after downloading it, then you install it. So I'm going to download, save, and go and access. This is a 64-bit. It's not going to install on my machine. I'm just doing it for the sake of others. Like, remember, I said some may be coming from the business field, and they have never installed software in their life. Okay, we've seen them in college, because they don't bother learning, doing it themselves. Because why do it when there's someone who can do it for you? But here you need to learn to do it. That's why I'm demonstrating. Right, so you double click on your downloaded software. Okay, I've already installed it. Let me close this one. Right, so if you double click, then you click next and next and install. I don't think mine will install because my Windows is 32-bit. Right, so it's installing. Let's wait and see. So I think we just need to finish and go, rather than breaking for lunch and come back. Let's just finish this. I'll just leave you with finished installing. Okay, I don't know what will happen now if I open it, but this was 64-bit. Yeah, oh, I made a mistake. I should not have installed. It might have moved. Yeah, so I have to reinstall again the 32-bit. What have I done? Okay. Okay. So I have to copy 64-bit, 32-bit, or download it. Let me see. 4S Windows 7. Let me see this one. Okay. Okay, I also forgot to mention that data analytics requires a big machine. Okay, you need a bigger machine, not dual core, because you'll be dealing with large amounts of data processing. So if you are a data analyst and you're using dual core, then you should consider a swap and top or buy a new one. Okay, because you will get frustrated by what you will be doing, especially when you will be doing machine learning. You have to train your models and everything, and your machine is slow. important. Okay, let me look for this software. I should not have. Oh, okay. Should have downloaded this one. Right. So that is my advice for you. Please, you need to. You need to look for a bigger machine if you want to enjoy data analytics. Okay. Let me look for other versions. Now regretting why I was trying to demonstrate how to install now, and let me see this one. Let me see if this one will work. So you need Core i5, Core i5, Core i7 is with bigger memory for you to enjoy this. Let me see, will this open? Oh, what's happening? But maybe I'm still installing the wrong thing. Let me uninstall this again. Program features. Now I'm taking your time, but I'm sure there are some who are still installing, and I will not be the only one. It happens. Right, so maybe you should go here to where it says, you should go here where it says here where I've highlighted, where it says if you are on a 32-bit system, you can use older versions of Ara Studio. Then you click on that older version. Right, so I think it's this one, which I'm now installing. What is the next thing? Okay, maybe. Let me see. Maybe I need to restart my machine. I don't know. Ara, yeah, it's no longer there. All right, I can restart my. Let me try once again. If it fails, I will have to restart my machine. Yeah. I think I have to restart my machine because of installing and uninstalling. Okay, let me share screen.
Mr. Phiri, sir.
Yes.
Delete some of those things you download so you can explain.
Oh, so we can proceed.
I was suggesting that you delete some of these things that you downloaded. Do we need to? You need to show us the R Studio, or maybe you have some. We can proceed with what we've installed, because we've installed from this side. We are good to go. Not sure about others.
Okay, we've only installed, so we can proceed.
Let them confirm. Maybe you can just give them a chance here on the public platform.
Okay, like I was saying, I do face such issues every day. With students, some may not have installed software in their life. Maybe they just bought a machine and everything was installed for them. They may not know how that you have to install, you have to click next, and unless if you are someone who's experienced. So, because last time I faced the same challenge, people saying I haven't installed the software, I haven't done this, so I was just doing it for the sake of others. Right. So I'm now going to proceed with I'm now going to proceed with the demonstration. Okay, so let me give this one Okay, just give me 5 minutes to restart my machine so that I can be sure that my Ara is installed correctly.